Yeah, is that okay? Okay. Oh, okay. There will be a few people that just come up behind you to use that mic. Okay. All right, thank you. I told her that we had a little something. So.
Better?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that better? Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. Or we can, is that one?
Just see if that's louder.
Is that better? Okay, all right, let's just turn this one off then. And we put this over here. Okay. All right, well, hello, everybody. Thank you for coming here today. I am so honored and pleased to have you all be here today for our first ever Dream Symposium. So just wanted to explain a little bit about how we got to the DREAM acronym. I think it was a collective of all four of us here as part of the Chief Disability Office. I do want to take a quick second to introduce my staff. Next to me, I have Kim Butchin, who is our executive assistant, and her lovely daughter Maggie, who is helping us today. I have Megan Parker, who's my deputy director, all the way over on the end, and Ben, if you just want to stand up, he's our senior policy advisor. So when we began the brainstorming for this day, we did want to take a step from the National Disability Employment Awareness Month and add the word rights to it, which conveniently made the acronym DREAM. So it worked out. We figured it would be an easy thing for us to all latch onto. But we really wanted to make sure that the rights piece of today holds true as we move forward to future years, because without dealing with all of the rights that people with disability needs and protecting those rights and ensuring that they are in existence, we can't get people to employment. So all of the other things that we will be hard working on for the rest of the year, in addition to employment, are going to be what helps us get the employment rates higher for people with disabilities in New York State. So on behalf of myself, on behalf of my staff, Jehoon Kim, Pat Wilds, and we have Zach, wherever Zach is, our tech expert in the back. I just want to thank all of you guys for coming. So Governor Hochul has established the need for employment as part of one of her main criteria that the Office of the Chief Disability Officer is responsible for. She, in her creation of our office back in your center in February, she was very clear that she has several priorities, and employment being one of them. She has made addressing the needs of the unemployment and the wanting to significantly raise the employment rate of people with disabilities as one of her top priorities. She wants New York State to be a model employer, and she wants us to be working with many of the both private, not-for-profit, large corporation businesses in the state to become model employers for people with disabilities as well. We are concerned with not only protecting but advancing the rights of people to live, work, and participate fully in their local communities, and in order to do this, the rights and supports and services need to be available, as well as other accessible things like housing, transportation, education, you name it. Once we meet the basic needs of people, then we will really be able to tackle the unemployment rates. So that is why our office is working with our partners at the Most Integrated Setting Coordinating Council. Many of you I see here today. Just wave your hand if you're a part of that monstrosity that we have that has really become quite a thing over the last year, and I'll talk about that with Commissioner Sullivan in a minute. But I think it's an entity that's been in existence for 20 years. And in the last 2, I say we've really turned the corner. And I'm very, very grateful to be working with all of you in this room to make sure that people are served in the most integrated setting appropriate to their needs. One of the components of that council, one of the main components, is employment. So with all of the work that we are doing, employment is one of the forefront priorities. So I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge all of our co-sponsors for today's event. And if you could just raise your hands if you're working for one of the agencies, I'd really appreciate it. So we have Department of Labor. We have Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, or OPWDD. Office of Mental Health. Department of Civil Service. Office of Children and Family Services and Commission for the Blind. And State Education Access VR. So building on today's event with the collaboration of all of them, and also a huge round of applause, please, for all of our OGS staff. Without them, yeah, they are responsible for every chair, every table, every piece of electronics. They've been a great partner in today's event. So building on today's event, we are very thrilled, and probably the piece I'm most excited about is an event that we are going to be having a week from today. Department of Labor has been extremely gracious in extending an invitation to work with us a lot, probably more than you signed on for when we met with you a couple of months ago. But one of the things that we are doing next Tuesday, we are holding the first ever virtual career fair for people with disabilities, with over 100 employers that are interested in hiring people with disabilities. So within hopefully a couple of weeks, couple of months, we'll have some real data on how successful we are in linking people to jobs with where we are right now. And not to put you on the spot or anything, Chris, but they've also agreed to do this in the future going forward, so we're hoping to do a lot more of them. So we're going to ask you to please spread the word as of tomorrow. I'm not sure I've shared this with all of you guys yet, but we will be spending the next week getting the word out on the virtual career fair. So we will be sending emails. Please send them out to all of your networks. We want as many people with disabilities to participate as possible. And also our website will have information about it as of tomorrow. If you just Google New York State Chief Disability Officer, you will get the information that you need. All right, let's see. So, the other thing I did want to mention, we have this amazing exhibit going on in both, there's right off across from where the registration table is, and also in the war room of the state capitol where the full exhibit is. We have done an extensive and deep dive that we then brought down to as few words as possible, so they would fit on a bunch of display panels on the history of disability rights and employment within disability rights. And the exhibit is, especially upstairs on the second floor of the Capitol, we have FDR's wheelchair, the one that he had used when he was governor of New York State. It's very moving. We have the ability for any blind or low vision people to listen. The whole thing has been read, that we have these little handheld things upstairs, but there's also little icons on the posters that are downstairs where if you hold your phone up in the right spot, it will be read to you. So please take a look at that. And we encourage you all to attend the 4 workshops that are going to be going on today. We also encourage you to go listen to Flame, who is going to be performing from 11:30 to 12:30, down all the way down in the South Concourse, I believe it is, like right across from where McDonald's is. That will be from 12:30 to 1:30. Thank you. So go to that, get your food, enjoy that, and then come back for all of the workshops. All right, so with that, I am going to stop talking for a little bit, and I would like to introduce each of our agency partners. First and foremost, I'd like to give my regrets for Commissioner Neifeld. Unfortunately, she got sick last night and was not able to make it, but I would love to invite Roger Bearden to come up in her place. Roger and Carrie have been amazing partners. Oh, sorry. Okay. That's fine.
So, thanks so much, Kim.
Oh, you're welcome.
This working? Thumbs up? Gotcha. Sometimes you can talk into a mic for a half minute and then people tell you it's not working. So as Kim said, I'm bringing regrets from Commissioner Neifeld and hope I can do the agency proud. Wonderful to be here. Kim, it's wonderful to have a Chief Disability Officer. I know that many in this room and those others who are watching the webcast have been waiting for that for a very long time, and I think we all can agree that you are doing that role with dignity and grace and just,
Thank you.
so can we give a round of applause for So I think we all know that employment is central to what we at OPWD as the agency tasked to help support people with developmental disabilities live richer lives, that it's vital to supporting people, it's vital to achieving dignity for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and a level of economic independence. So we are very, very committed to the partnerships that we have in this room with our nonprofit partners, with our other state agencies. That's wonderful news, Kim, about the Department of Labor Virtual Fair. Because we at OPWD, we can provide the supports and services that people need to achieve their dreams, but we need also somebody on the other side. We need that employer, we need a job for somebody to pursue, and we have a wonderful partnerships with many, many employers throughout the state through our nonprofit agencies, and we look to build on those. There was an advertisement earlier for some sessions this afternoon. We're very, very pleased to have a number of our wonderful OPWD team to be presenting this afternoon. We have been working as OPWD on a strategic plan for the last year. Central tenet of that is supporting people with developmental disabilities in achieving their employment goals. We'd like to talk a little more about that there. There are a couple of elements we're looking at in order to better support people in achieving their dreams. And I just invite you to come by at that point to learn more about that. And so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank everybody for being here. And who do I pass it to next? Ann? Commissioner Sullivan? Commissioner Poole? Who gets the mic
Oh,
next?
yes, thank you. Actually, Roger, hold on one
Thank you.
second. We have something for each of the...
I'm sorry.
This is a little surprise. For each of the commissioners that are attending today and speaking, we have a copy of the proclamation.
Oh, wonderful. So...
Completely forgot.
Hi. Oh, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. And I just love the word dream. I don't think there's any better word that can capture the great work that is happening here today. And thank you, Kim, for everything that you've been doing. And as Roger said, it's just such a tremendous addition
Thank
to
you.
the team here in the state. And thank you so, so much.
Oh, thank you.
For individuals with mental illness, I like to say that recovery is employment. You can't have recovery unless you have the opportunity for individuals living with mental illness to have employment just like everybody else. We do not have a high number of individuals employed with mental illness in the state. The number is probably around 19%. That's a terrible number, actually. It's something that we have to work at to enable individuals who live with mental illness to become fully engaged in society. We do a lot with housing. We do a lot with rehab skills. But we're lagging a bit in employment, and that's something that we have to work together on to fulfill the promise to everyone we serve, that employment is their right. It's a right to employment. We're doing a number of things, some great things with the Department of Labor. I think some of you know about the New York Employment Service System. 6,000 participants this year. I asked for the number of individuals who have contacted NICE, we call it NICE for short, to get assistance with finding employment. And that's terrific, and that we're going to grow and continue to grow. Also, in this year's budget, our governor, who is so supportive, as Kim said, of employment, has given us dollars for employment liaisons across our system and to embed an evidence-based practice called individual personal supports, individual placement supports for individuals in getting ready to work. And we're going to be embedding that throughout our system. So we're very excited about some of the things that we're going to be doing over the year. We are also funding a training academy with NIAPRIS, which for peers and for others. And I think all those things will come together, hopefully, to help us get that number over the next couple of years. We're going to have a target. And I would love to see it double. I'd love to see it double over the next few years in terms of individuals with mental illness who are working and who are employed, fully employed. We also have a great program called On Track New York, which works with youth who have their first psychotic episode. And we work very hard with those individuals to make sure that they stay engaged in school and that they stay engaged and employed. And in that group, we have about 75% of individuals who stay employed or in school. So we know how to do it. We just have to do it more, and we have to make sure that it works. And so we need all of your support and all of your help. And I just want to thank everyone here today for, I know, all the hard work everyone puts in to making sure that employment is truly a right and that employment is a key part of recovery for each and every person with a disability. So thank you. And it's just a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you go, Commissioner, I just want to acknowledge the work that you have done on the MISC and the transition that you are helping our team with. I can't thank you enough. And with NICE, Andy in the back there, I see you. The work that your agency is doing to collaborate with ours is definitely very much appreciated.
Thank you. Well, it was a lot of work with the MISC, I must admit. I really, deep down, I really enjoyed it. It was just great to get to know all of you who are on the MISC. So thank you for that.
We're not letting you completely go.
No, I'm still there. I'm still there. It was, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to introduce Commissioner Hoax from the Office of Civil Service, or Department of Civil Service.
So you're going to have to bear with me being a new commissioner to state government. I think I'm one of the newest, and so my remarks may be a little bit longer than everyone else's, but it's important to share with everyone here today the work and the collaboration that is taking place here across the state with the great leadership. And so once again, it's truly an honor to be here with all of you. And I want to say this, an excellent job of pulling this together. The turnout is awesome. All the vendors that we see in the plaza there is just phenomenal. So we're going to have to talk so you can share some of your insight on how we do this. Mike Washington from my department is like, I got to find out how she did it. I got to find out because it's awesome. So once again, today is a very exciting day. It brings us all together here to highlight the important work that we are doing across the state to promote opportunities for individuals with disabilities in celebration of National Disability Employment Awareness Month. First, I must once again thank and recognize the efforts of Kimberly Hill, New York's first ever Chief Disability Officer. Kim has devoted her life to giving a voice to so many people living with disabilities who for so long may not have had their voice heard. Kim's leadership brings us all here today for this inaugural event to create awareness for all of New York State and to show and promote what we are doing to make sure that disability rights and employment are important and necessary. We must also recognize our leader, Governor Kathy Hochul for a vision and foresight to establish the office of the Chief Disability Officer and appointing Kim to lead the office and advocate on the behalf of people with disabilities. Under Governor Hochul, the Empire State has made dramatic strides to create and strengthen opportunities for all New Yorkers while dismantling barriers to social and economic mobility and promoting equal opportunity for all. I'd also like to recognize my fellow commissioners who are here today. We are all working together closely to break down the silos that may exist for people with disabilities, particularly when it comes to improving employment outcomes. In collaboration with our state agency partners, we are undertaking a series of initiatives with the goal of eliminating barriers to entry to civil service jobs and building and retaining a pipeline of new, diverse talent into New York State's workforce. As the state's central personnel agency, which serves approximately 140,000 New York State employees, the Department of Civil Service is working hard to build a state workforce that is diverse and inclusive of all New Yorkers. And we are committed to creating a workplace that offers fulfilling opportunities for people with disabilities. To promote equal opportunity and to attract diverse workforce to the public sector, New York State established the Office of Diversity Inclusion Management, which is within the Department of Civil Service, and we have some of those representatives here. If you can just wave your hand. Thank you so much for the work that you do. It was formulated by the Governor's Executive Committee for Diversity, Inclusion, and Equal Employment to advise the Governor, the Chief Diversity Officer, and Commissioner of Civil Service in the development of plans, policies, and programs relating to diversity and inclusion across all state departments and agencies. New York State is taking a holistic approach to ensure diversity, inclusion, and equity opportunities, and the principles are at the core of everything we do. In partnership with the state's Chief Diversity Officer, the department is also working at both the enterprise and agency levels to strengthen statewide diversity and inclusion and create pathways for better incorporating equal opportunity principles into the vital services that we deliver to the public. To that end, the Department of Civil Services, particularly ODIM, has taken steps to develop a statewide framework for this work and is assisting state agencies with tailored feedback and guidance to assist in developing strategic plans that identify obstacles, opportunities, and innovative strategies in diversity and inclusion. We're also working closely with the state's Chief Diversity Officer to provide executive guidance and support to the state's Workforce, Diversity, and Inclusion Council, which is comprised of DEI practitioners from every agency and has a goal of developing strategies and recommendations regarding New York State's workforce diversity, inclusion, and equity. I'm almost done. But this is truly important work, and so we have to take the time to highlight the things that are going on because some people just aren't aware of the work that and the collaboration that is going on. So in addition, the Department of Civil Service is now providing oversight of the state reasonable accommodation process and provides training to agencies designees for reasonable accommodation to assure equal access and equal opportunities in the state workplace for individuals with disabilities. The Reasonable Accommodation Appeals Process Committee was established in April of 2021 as a measure to ensure equitable implementation of the statewide reasonable accommodation policy. Our agency also manages the governor's program to hire individuals and veterans with disabilities, known as the 55B and 55C program, which supports greater workforce representation for these populations by creating opportunities for individuals and veterans to be appointed to traditionally competitive positions at the entry level without having to take an exam. Civil service law allows the state to fill 1,255B positions and 555 positions through this program. Our team will be offering a workshop on these programs later this afternoon, so I encourage you to attend to better understand how these programs work. In addition to offering these pathways to employment for individuals and veterans with disabilities, we are also taking steps to ensure the current New York State culture is inclusive of all. Our team launched the interactive virtual implicit bias training. That must be like the Oscars. I must be running out of time. I'm sorry. They started the music. I apologize. So to date, our staff within the Office of Diversity and Inclusion Management has trained more than 26,000 participants from over 35 state agencies. We recognize that New York, to continue as a national leader, we must maintain our tradition of excellence in public service and remain a great place to live and thrive. New York's diversity has always been our greatest strength, and through these initiatives, we will ensure that the state government continues to reflect the many unique faces, voices, backgrounds, and ideas of the communities we serve. Promoting diversity is at the core of building a strong, effective, agile, and modern government, one that can best serve the interest of all New Yorkers. And so, thank you for bearing with me, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. You can start the Oscar music again. I'll walk off stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, now I'd like to invite up Commissioner Poole from the Office of Children and Family Services.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. This is truly a dream. I have worked in my agency on state government for 15 years. And the fact that it has taken us 15 years to hold an inaugural celebration like this today, it is long overdue, to say the least. And this is an amazing event. I was teasing Kim when I came in, right? I came off the elevator, I went out, and just saw the amazing number of vendors and agencies spread across the concourse. And I said to Kim, I said, "You're amazing at what you do here, but you would have made a heck of a wedding planner." She said, "I actually tried that out." But we are just so blessed and so fortunate to have Kim. In just, about a year, Kim? She has lit the state on fire. She has brought a new level of awareness, but I think even more importantly, accountability to all commissioners, to all agencies, to our administration, and to our state in a way that, as long as I've been here, we have not seen before. And Kim, you are a powerhouse. Thank you. You and your staff. You know, they have 5 staff, and look what they have been able to accomplish. So it's amazing to be here. And so I just want to talk a little bit about the Office of Children and Family Services, sort of from 2 vantage points. We proudly host, as Kim said, the New York State Commission for the Blind. And I want my staff who are here from the commission to raise their hands. I know we've got folks from across the state. And they too are a small but mighty group of staff spread across the state with the single mission of helping New Yorkers who are visually handicapped and blind to really aspire to achieve their goals. And obviously a main focus, as Commissioner Sullivan said, is employment. So we spend so much time, our workers, our vocational counselors, last year serving 4,000 visually impaired and blind individuals across the state, whether using their white cane, mobility instructors, assistive technology, help them get their degrees. I go to a ceremony every year, I just went to it a couple of months ago, where we celebrate the work of our counselors who work directly with individuals who are seeking employment in the state. The stories that they tell and celebrate about individuals who have experienced unimaginable challenges, discrimination, bias, right? Hardship in their lives, celebrate getting their bachelor's, their master's, a starting salary of 3 figures or more. That's what this work is all about, and that's what we aspire to do at the Commission for the Blind. You know, we also know, and you all do too, right, that many barriers exist. You've heard about the very high unemployment rates. We've got to keep working at that. Also, the many challenges that our individuals seek in rural communities, right? Not having access to employment, not having access to transportation that works for them. So many things for us to continue to work on. One of the programs at the Commission for the Blind that we are really proud of is the Business Enterprise Program, or the BEP program. How many of you have heard of it? Great, wonderful. So if you are visiting a kiosk or a store here in the concourse or in the Capitol, that's a BEP program. So they are programs that are intended to provide individuals who are blind or visually impaired with the opportunity to actually operate their own business. So whether it's a kiosk in a state or federally operated building, or it's running a vending machine operation, gives people with supports and services the ability to actually run their own businesses. And we're so proud that we have 60 blind vendors across our state, and the average income of those individuals is close to $60,000 a year, so a real living wage. So if any, isn't that amazing? So we have staff here. Is Louise here from our Business Enterprise Program? I know we've got staff. If any of you own a business or want a BEP vendor to come, raise your hand. We want to talk with you about how to bring this amazing program to you. I also want to just spend a bit of time talking about OCFS as an employer. Like all state agencies, we now have, right, our own diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. I can't believe I was just able to say all that. Officers, right, with a very specific focus on, as Commissioner Hoke said, being inclusive, not putting resumes where it looks like someone might have a disability or have had a challenge in their life to the bottom of the pile, but instead intently and deliberately seeking out those individuals because we know that they enrich the fabric of our workforces. And so we're working very hard here at OCFS, and I know all my sister and brother state agencies, to make absolutely certain that we are carefully considering individuals on the 55B, 55C, doing your job fairs on the 11th. We have also today, in addition to our Commission for the Blind, having a table out front, we have our personnel office. So our Deputy Commissioner, Tanya Boniface, where are you, Tanya? She might be out. There she is, Tanya. Find Tanya. If you know of individuals who would like to consider employment at OCFS, we welcome individuals with disabilities, or I like to say special abilities, to come to work at our agency. So we are so proud to be here with our other agencies, to be part of this long overdue journey together. And thank you, Kim, for making this happen.
Thank you. So now I am honored and excited to introduce Deputy Commissioner Chris White from Department of Labor.
So I've been keeping a close eye on the clock because I knew it would switch to afternoon, so I get to say first, happy afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So I'm Chris White, Deputy Commissioner for Workforce Development at Department of Labor. Really excited to be here today, and I've said this probably like 30 times since I walked in the door. An event like today makes my heart happy. And it makes my heart happy because of all the different things that it says, all the things that it shows. We would not be here today, and I'm gonna pile on here, without the work of our governor, Kathy Hochul, but what she did in putting Kim Hill in her place. Amazing, amazing. So Kim, thank you. Thank the team for sure. I'm here on behalf of our Commissioner, Roberta Bearden, who is actually in Niagara Falls. She could not make the 30-hour drive between Niagara Falls and here today, but she sends her regrets. She is an absolutely fierce advocate for this community. And she worked in a prior job. She was the president of a national actors union, SAG-AFTRA, like every big actor's in it. I didn't realize she actually knew a lot of crazy famous people, but one of the things that she was very passionate about in her previous work was working with actors with disabilities to make sure that they had equitable chance for roles and could actually play the roles that they should be playing out there. So she has been working at this for a long time, so she really wanted to be here. So my role at Department of Labor is running workforce development for the agency and for the state. Helping people find jobs today is just a little piece of important thing that kind of everyone's talking about, and twice as much so, or 3 times as much so, for our collective community. And so I am just so ecstatic to be here today, to bring my team here today. I have an incredible team of people at the agency. We run 95 career centers across the state. We have hundreds of people who every day help people find jobs. We have a team of people who help businesses, who help nonprofits and employers connect to people looking for jobs, breaking down barriers that might be perceived or might be real to make those kind of connections. Our unofficial theme for today, and I think you've heard all of our fellow commissioners and leaders talk about it, and thank you all so much for being here and the work your agencies are all doing as well. But the theme today is collaboration. And I think if everybody walks away today with that I think is such an important thing. We are working better today, I think, than we ever really have before. And I'm gonna, credit COVID, devastating, but it's brought us together in such a unique and different way. And I don't think we'd be here today if not for that renewed sense of collaboration. And I think the solutions, for employment that's out there don't happen in a vacuum. They don't happen in the silos. They happen when they're comprehensive, they happen when they're integrated, and they especially happen when they're intentional. And that's where we really have to be today. We have had, among our agencies, a phenomenal interagency group. Now, it's a federally mandated group that a bunch of our agencies have to be part of. Fantastic. But we've become friends in the process, and we've gotten to know each other so well. And so much so that we've added more friends to our club because we know it's important. So beyond the agencies you've heard from today and we'll hear from, we've added folks from SUNY and CUNY, Empire State Development, from OPWDD, Mental Health, Department of Health, because the only way we get to where we're going is together. And we know when we look at workforce, we have to look at what we do, what we're doing, how we're doing it, and we can always be doing it better. And our goal is really in that to meet New Yorkers where they are. It always has been, and it's always going to continue to be that. Sometimes people don't want to come into our centers. Sometimes people want to come into our centers, and we can help them virtually if they don't want to. We can help them in person. We'll welcome them with open arms. We have accessibility equipment in all of our centers. That is adaptive technology that we're really proud of. And more than just having it, we have staff there who actually can help people use it. That's really important and something we're continuing to keep trained on. We've created the New York SCION, but it stands for the New York Systems Change and Inclusive Opportunities Network Program. I just say SCION because it's much easier to remember. But what this is an expansion of our program with disability resource coordinators. We now have a disability resource coordinator in every one of our 33 local workforce areas. Now, these people bring to the table tremendous expertise, but for me, their value is not just what they bring individually. It's what they're able to bring to the team around them. They're able to lend their expertise, teach their coworkers, and make sure that everybody is aware of the amazing things happening, about the amazing connections that exist between not just our agencies, but all the different members of our community and the things they bring to the table. The goal is consistency of service. So if you're in Niagara Falls and you move to Binghamton, we want to make sure that you have the same level of service available to you and the same level of connectiveness out there. So we're working really hard to train all those regional partners and tell more people about these type of services. I truly think the Department of Labor, as with so many of our other agencies, is so much more accessible than ever. We have been very intentional when we're bringing on new technology tools that the technology is fully accessible. So one of the things when we talk about, in a week from now, we have this amazing virtual job fair. The platform that we're using for this has literally every piece of capability that you can think of to make sure that we are inclusive as hell when we're doing these type of events, because that's the only way we get there. And that's just incredible. And I'll say too, one of the other things, the event itself is on the 11th, but the day before, on the 10th, we have what we call a preview day. And again, this is another thing, all this new technology, it's new for a lot of people. Platform's brand new for a lot of people. So the day before, we bring people into the platform. The businesses aren't there, though they can visit too, but it's an opportunity for people to look at the software, to test it out, to plan out a potential route of businesses, look at jobs they might want to talk to someone about, or investigate on the site. But it's the idea that you can familiarize yourself with it before you're in the hot seat the next day, when everyone else is there. So that's something we're just thrilled about. So I will wrap up, but I think, as we're talking about today, we're going to have a lot of short-term successes. We're going to learn some stuff. We're going to hear some wonderful speakers. We're going to meet some great people. But the long term, for me, is probably the most important. An event like today is raising the bar for what we do in New York State. That, to me, is just phenomenal. It's not just talk. It's been talk for a long time. A lot goes on. But I think an event like today is really action. And that's the type of thing we want to see more. Because look, National Disability Employment Awareness Month is vital, it's important, but we have to take the things we're doing today and this month and carry them throughout the other 11 months of the year. And I think with Kim's leadership, her team's leadership, and all the leadership at our sister agencies, we are doing that, and with all of you in the room, so thank you.
Okay, and last but not least, Deputy Commissioner Salah Myers-Ruff from SED.
Well, I was almost said good morning. Good afternoon. I'm between you and the break, so that's always very challenging. I just want to pause for a moment. The symbolism of today's event in this room, and for those of you who have been involved with the Most Integrated Settings Coordinating Council, know the pain and agony for over 20 years coming here on a quarterly basis, talking about the same things over and over again with no concrete changes. But here we are now with Kim Hill leading the meeting since the inception of MISS.
20 years.
20 years. And so it's just so incredible that we're here today in this space making a significant change. So that said, I'll get into my comments. Happy Disability Employment Awareness Month. I am so excited about all the activities that are taking place this month, but as Chris has said, it really is what should be happening 12 months of the year. And for some of us, it is what we do every day. This is the opportunity for others to recognize that work. So I'm Salah Myers-Ruff. I am the Deputy Commissioner at the State Education Department. Some of you know the voc rehab side of the work that we do in Access, but we also have adult education, high school equivalency, and the Bureau of Proprietary Schools. I also have another hat that I wear, and I know that some of the folks are here. There's a table outside for New York State Special Olympics. I have the honor of being on the board, and I'm very proud of that role. If you haven't seen the Special Olympics table, please go meet. There's some athletes there, and it's an awesome organization that isn't just about inclusion in sports, but many of the athletes also have jobs. Almost every time I meet an athlete, they're really active in their community and they're also working, which is really what today is about. So I bring you greetings from the New York State Board of Regents Chancellor Lester Young and from the New York State Education Department Commissioner Betty Rosa. We are really excited to be co-sponsoring the inaugural Disability Rights and Employment Awareness Month Symposium. And I just want to talk a moment about dream, because I think it is such a great word, and it means so much to so many people. But I think it's an opportunity for us all to be thinking about, what is our dream for New Yorkers with disabilities? What's our vision in the work that we do? Or if we're playing a supportive role, what is that vision? So I want to share my vision. So my vision is that New Yorkers with disabilities are able to live full and productive lives, that they're able to live independently in their community, that they're fully active in their community, are able to go and transport to wherever they want to go to in their community, that they're gainfully employed and have careers that move them out of poverty. And at the bottom line is, people with disabilities should be able to live their best lives ever. My vision is the same as what I want for myself and my family. And that really should be the lens of our work. For every state agency, our goal is to help people with disabilities live their best lives ever, just like the rest of us. So how do we get there? So how do we get there? The path to that vision requires implementation of a robust Olmstead plan, because the Olmstead plan is really the blueprint for how do we have the types of services that are needed to help New Yorkers with disabilities live their best lives ever. And that Olmstead plan needs to really ensure collaboration and not duplication. We do a lot of duplication. We're not the only ones. That's just kind of how government works. So we have to figure out, how do we get out of our own way, and how do we collaborate more? Someone talked about collaboration also. And we need partners, lots of partners. So state and local government need to partner. We need community organizations. We need businesses, advocacy organizations, provider organizations. We need elementary, secondary, higher education sectors. We need the healthcare system. But most importantly, we need people with disabilities. So when we talk about the dream, the vision for New Yorkers with disabilities, it's not going to happen unless we truly see people with disabilities, hear their voices, understand what they want, and work with them, not for them, with them to make change. I am going to say that again. See people with disabilities as people. Hear them when they raise concerns. Understand what they want from policymakers and decision makers, and work with them to create solutions. I'm almost done. So since October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, I also want to talk for a moment to highlight the need to address the extremely low employment rate for people with disabilities, not only in New York, but across the country. So Access VR has 25 offices across the state, and we work every day with thousands of New Yorkers to help them meet their employment goals. And we're not the only ones, right? So Commission for the Blind is helping people find jobs. OMH is helping people find jobs. OPWD is helping people find jobs. We have civil service is jumping in with 55B and C, but the employment rate is still low. And so, too low. And so I think one of the things that COVID has really shown us is that the needs of people with disabilities are really important, and they're the first ones to be impacted. They are the canaries in the coal mine. So we have so many people with disabilities that were working in 2020 that are not working now. And we really have to do something about this. It is urgent. You know, when I think about being in this room, I'm going off script here, being in this room and miss, one of the things I consistently remember hearing advocates talk about is the lack of urgency. We need the urgency, and I think that's really where Kim comes in, because she's calling me and she's emailing me, and I know she's doing that to others too. It's creating that sense of urgency, and so Kim, thank you for that. So the other piece of this dynamic is that business, at the same time when the unemployment rate for people with disabilities is low, we have businesses that are desperate to find workers. That is a major disconnect. How can both of those things be true at the same time? It's something that we really have to wrap our brains and our arms and roll up our sleeves to work on and to figure out solutions. So I am very optimistic about our new Chief Disability Officer, Kim Hill, and the work that she's going to do to facilitate cross-system collaboration. And that collaboration needs to happen in employment, housing, and transportation. And my final comment is that this is New York State, and we value every New Yorker, but now is the time to really show New Yorkers with disabilities that we mean it. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to thank you all again for coming, commissioners, deputy commissioners, your collaboration, your partnership, your friendships that we're creating. I appreciate each and every one of you. So, and I will be calling and emailing shortly. So, before I move on to the awards portion, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to John Harrion from Division of Human Rights. He's been another amazing partner. He's working with us on a number of issues, but probably most importantly, after today, we will be reaching back out. John is helping us to train all of the ADA coordinators for each state agency. So hopefully in a short amount of time, we will be able to list all of the agencies, who their ADA coordinators are, and they will all be trained in what they're doing. So I really appreciate you and your agency. Okay, so now it's time to give out a couple of awards. I apologize for completely reading this, but their expertise and everything that they have brought to the table over the last several years is too much for me to memorize. So our first award is the New York State 2022 Dream Advocacy Award. This award goes to an advocate who, over the past year, is responsible for significant achievements in ensuring that people with disabilities are served in the most inclusive, integrated, and accessible manner possible to meet their needs. As many of you might know, Governor Hochul signed legislation on July 26, the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which legally recognizes supported decision-making agreements in New York State. Today, I am happy to present Kristen Booth Glenn, who unfortunately cannot be here today, but we're trying to get her picture up. There you go. And I am pretty sure that she is also watching from New York City. So we are very honored and pleased to present her with this 2022 Dream Advocacy Award. Kristen is a retired university professor and Dean Emerita at CUNY School of Law. In 2012, she retired as surrogate judge of New York County, where she had jurisdiction over guardianships of persons with intellectual disabilities and wrote several groundbreaking decisions in that area. She was instrumental in getting the law passed that was signed on July 26th. She has written and lectured widely on the human rights of legal capacity of supported decision-making, serves on advisory boards at the National Center on Supported Decision-Making and the Center for Public Representation, non-OTUC Supported Decision-Making Pilot Project, the New York State Bar Association Disability Rights Committee, was a commissioner on the American Bar Association Commission on Disability Rights, served as an ABA observer to the Uniform Law Commissioner's revision of the Uniform Guardianship and Protective Procedures Act, and as an expert at the United Nations Commission on Human Rights in Geneva, Switzerland. So I could go on and on. She has just been an amazing partner, advocate, truly, truly instrumental in the supported decision-making in New York State, which has really made New York a leader in this area. And I'd like to invite her good friend and colleague, Roger Bearden, up to accept the award on her behalf.
It's an awkward moment in one's life when one of your heroes gives you words to read on her behalf. She couldn't be here today. So I'm going to do my very best to represent her. I would add to her formal bio, she's just a good friend and has been a mentor to me my entire career. So now we're going to switch to a different voice, same voice, which is her voice. I'll do my best. Thank you for this extraordinary honor that I cannot in good conscience accept personally. The phrase, "it takes a village," may be overused, but in this case, as you have acknowledged the power of supported decision-making to change the lives of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, it is perhaps more accurate to say that it takes a worldwide movement. From the beginning, supported decision-making New York's work has been premised in the human right of legal capacity, the right of everyone to make their own decisions, to have them legally recognized, and to give people with disabilities the support they need to exercise that right. What we have accomplished in New York puts us in the forefront of the movement for the human right of legal capacity that began with the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in 2008. The first national roundtable on supported decision-making took place in New York in 2012, and SDMNY, the first major pilot project in the US, began in 2016, drawing on the work of projects in Australia, Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Israel, and Kenya. And now in 2022, New York has passed the most progressive and far-reaching SDM legislation in the world, and it's beginning implementation that legislation through a new pilot project to develop a service delivery model that can make the support necessary to enjoy the human right available to everyone in New York who wants it. I am not exaggerating when I say that advocates around the US and the world are watching what we are accomplishing here in New York. So enormous thanks, if not the award itself, go to so many entities and individuals who have made SDMNY's work and this amazing advance in human rights possible. To our international colleagues who got us started, to the Developmental Disabilities Planning Council, who believed that we could develop a viable process to enable people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to make their own decisions with the support of trusted persons in their lives, and gave us the gift of time to take chances and learn from our mistakes. To the Ford and Taft Foundations, the FAR Fund, and the New York Community Trust, who supported a bridge year that enabled us to meet all our goals. And especially to OPWD for drafting and advancing groundbreaking legislation and then providing the funds necessary to implement its promise. To the agencies and organizations that have partnered with us, especially the New York Alliance for Inclusion and Innovation, Parent to Parent New York, and SANES, the Self-Advocacy Association of New York, to my unbelievably hardworking and dedicated colleagues at SDMY, and finally, and most importantly, to the decision makers, their families and supporters, who have demonstrated that SDM really works to enable people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to live self-determined, autonomous, inclusive lives with dignity and respect.
Make sure Kristen gets
Another
that.
proclamation?
Yeah. Thank you, Roger. And Kristen, I hope you're listening. We really appreciate all of the work that you've done, and we congratulate you. So next, we will give out the first ever New York State Dream Lifetime Advocacy Achievement Award. This award is presented to someone who has made a significant and lasting impact on the lives of people with disabilities throughout their lifetime. I'm so thrilled to announce our first ever recipient is Brad Williams. Brad has served as Executive Director of the New York State Independent Living Council since 1999. Previously, he ran an independent living center for almost 10 years in the Southern Adirondacks. Brad helped with others to shape the direction of the statewide systems advocacy network and directed it during its formative years. As the SSAN transitioned to the state association, he continued to push hard on the voting access issue, engaging in a wide variety of efforts to move the New York State Board of Elections toward increased compliance with HAVA, or Help America Vote Act, and polling place and voting machine access for New Yorkers with disabilities. Through the council, he has also worked on efforts in the areas of emergency preparedness and employment. Brad is a national consultant for other state independent living councils. He has developed best practices in member recruitment, new member orientation, state plan for independent living formulation, public input strategies, and has incorporated needs assessments and evaluation into the spill cycle with the assistance of consultants. Over the years, Brad has been recognized for his work with several awards, too many to mention here, but I will say on a personal note that I appreciate all of Brad's guidance and collaboration over our many, many years of working together. And I'd just like to say that he definitely did not consult with our office before announcing his retirement, because we would not have said yes. But since you did, we congratulate you and we invite you to come up and say a few words, Brad.
Okay. Well, I want to thank Governor Hochul, Kim Hill, our New York State Chief Disability Officer, our commissioners, advocates, our friends and family. I'm just so honored to receive this award, the first annual Lifetime Advocacy and Achievement Award. And as Kim has mentioned, I'm a little more than a year away from my retirement as the leader of the New York State Independent Living Council. Hard to imagine, but I'm just about there.
I don't know.
But this makes me think back to all the advocacy struggles and victories we have all shared. And I'm looking out there and seeing many of the faces. For instance, the creation of the statewide systems advocacy network back in 1999, which is still going strong today. And when you consider the number of advocates who have participated, lent their talents, increased advocacy skills, and felt empowered, and collectively worked together to create systems change. That's just awesome. That's really what it's all about. It's like a legacy. And then working together in a coalition with over 40 organizations, like NIAPRIS, Harvey Rosenthal, my friend, sitting right over here, and Housing Works, Michael Kink, who was back at that time, with elected leaders to realize a Medicaid buy-in in New York State. What an accomplishment. Getting advocates engaged in a discussion with the governor's office so that an executive order was issued prioritizing employment first in New York. Right, Roger? Yeah, which allowed the process to move forward. And here we are today, having a symposium on employment and disability. I mean, you have to start somewhere to get where, not quite a decade, to the point of having these kind of talks. And that's what it's all about. But what I will always remember the most was our struggle for accessible voting rights in New York. It is hard to imagine that the fight to secure access to our fundamental right to vote happened just over 20 years ago. Access to polling places, voting machines, and the ballot. And to even wrap our minds around this and connect it to today, based on the Rutgers studies on people with disabilities and voting, people with disabilities who are employed turn out and vote at the strongest level. So keep that in mind when we talk about this. But we have turned out to vote during the past 20 years, and we should be very proud of that effort. So give ourselves a round of applause for that. But there's still more work to do, such as continue to do your part to test and make recommendations to improve access and options to the voting process. And that'll never end, but you got to keep at it. Convince pollsters and mainstream news media to report on the voting trends of people with disabilities. This is still an issue. We got to keep at this. We want to be up there and have people reporting on our voting trends, just like everyone else. Be sure to vote in every election, local, state, national, they all matter. Educate yourself on issues and candidates. I mean, there's so much white noise out there all the time on all the ads. It's very hard to understand, what's important. Well, you have to get to the issues, and then you have to decide for yourself what's important. So educate yourself. Become a poll worker, also known as an election inspector. I mean, they have a great need for poll workers, but get involved in that process. And then volunteer for a candidate of your choice. I mean, that's another way to get involved in the process and know that part of the process. And consider becoming a candidate and run for office, right? Yeah. Plug in, get involved. So, Tuesday, November 8th, is Election Day. Be aware of your voting deadlines and options, and get out there and vote, 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 vote. Thank you.
All right, and one last thing that I wanted to do before we close the welcoming ceremony part of today. As I mentioned, we have this amazing exhibit that really outlines a lot of the history of the disability rights movement, particularly as how it was created, some of the pioneers. And one of our more notable pioneers in New York State was a gentleman named Pat Figueroa. He is on our display, and I would like to call his wife, Denise, up to accept a copy of the proclamation for today. We just wanted to give a nod to everything that both of you have done for disability rights and acknowledge and show you that Pat was a part of this day. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so that concludes our opening ceremony. I encourage you all to get out and go listen to Flame, grab some lunch, and be back here at 1:30 for the first set of workshops. Thank you all.